Let me tell you the story of how I got into politics. I was almost born into it. My uncle was one of the major political leaders in New York, and my father, a politically very well-connected lawyer. And my mother was a strong liberal writer who wrote for magazines and books throughout the country. When I first went to school, I got into Stuyvesant High School in New York, which was a special school that you needed a test to get into. And it was the brightest kids in the city. And I went to the debating team and became the captain of it. We really didn't have a coach, and we didn't have a budget, so I was in effect the coach of the team. I had learned how to speak in public by speaking on soapboxes for Kennedy during the 60s, and had studied some of the recordings of FDR's speeches and learned how to speak in public as a result. And I led this debating team to a whole series of championships. And it was a very prominent part of my high school career. The rest of high school I didn't care about, but the debating team I sure did. After I graduated from high school, many of my co-debating team members, who had become my close friends, decided to go to Columbia, and I went to Columbia, which is on Manhattan's West Side. And as we were entering Columbia, the Vietnam War was exploding, and we all decided that we would stay together and become a political organization, working on electing anti-war candidates on Manhattan's West Side. And we recruited kids from high schools and colleges all over the city, and got a political machine, really, of hundreds of young people who would work for anti-war candidates on the West Side and throughout New York. When McCarthy ran for president against Johnson to try to end the war in 1968, we were the backbone of much of his political organization, and went to New Hampshire and to Indiana and to Wisconsin, Connecticut, every state where there was a major primary, to canvass the voters and to get them to vote against the war and to support McCarthy. When the convention was held and Humphrey became the nominee, we all reacted viscerally against the Democratic Party and decided to set up anti-war alternatives to the party in our districts on the West Side. And we challenged the leaders of these political clubs that had tended to stay with Johnson to primary fights on the West Side of Manhattan. When the voting age became 21 and we all became eligible to run, we ran an entire slate for district leader, the local officials who controlled the Democratic Party, a slate of 21-year-olds who defeated the people in their 40s and 50s who were running the party. We won all 7 of the races in these primary fights in which over 10,000 people voted, and controlled the West Side politically. After these organizations we set up were not only to get elected, but we ran draft counseling clinics to help people avoid the draft. We painted park benches and recycled cans before that was a major part of the environmental movement. We helped people organize tenant associations and go on rent strikes and block associations. It was quite an operation. One of my close partners there was Jerry Nadler, who I helped get elected to the State Assembly and then to Congress. And Jerry is now serving in Congress and will be the new chairman of the Judiciary Committee. Another of my friends was Dick Gottfried, who ran for district leader in Manhattan, was elected to the State Assembly, and is still serving after 50 years, the longest serving assemblyman in history. In the video tomorrow, I'm going to pick up this story and discuss how I became a Republican. But all these stories are in this book, 50 Shades of Politics, 100 short stories, anecdotes, 2 or 3 pages each, that I think you'll find entertaining and fascinating, and if you're curious about my background, it's a good way to find out. You can get it on Amazon.com and DickMorris.com. Costs only $13.99. Thanks for watching.